Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Monday, September 16th. It's been a rough couple weeks here in Duval County. Jaguars 0-2 coming off a loss at home to the Cleveland Browns, a team the Jaguars should have been able to beat, a team that really had no business dominating the first half the way they did, and the Jaguars did play better in the second half, but still couldn't get the job done. So now you're sitting in a spot where you're 0-2 this year. You're like 1-7 in your last 8 games. And there's a lot of folks out here, a lot of Jags fans, saying that they want to fire Press Taylor and Doug Peterson. A lot of folks already wanted Press Taylor gone, obviously, but now folks are calling for Doug Peterson's head, saying that, maybe he was a nice bridge between the depths of poor coaching that the Jaguars dealt with as a franchise prior to him being here, and that he was somebody who could get Trevor Lawrence going a little bit and get this franchise back to relevance. But now it's time for him to move on. See a lot of that on Twitter. See a lot of folks talking about that in the comment section here. I do not think at 0-2 it is the time to fire a head coach. A head coach who, again, the Jaguars have a winning record under Doug Peterson. Is it great? No. Did they fall apart at the end of last season mainly due to injuries? In my opinion, absolutely yes. But this is a team that, they are 0-2. They absolutely are. They've lost 7 of 8 going back to last year. But again, I kind of separate this 0-2 versus the back end of last year. That's two different beasts in my opinion. But at 0-2, are they out of anything right now? No, they're absolutely not. Are they getting dismantled? No, they're not. They're literally like one of 10 different plays going slightly different from finding wins in each of the past 2 weeks. They had the lead against the Dolphins the whole game. They lost it. They did. And I do put that on coaching, offensive coaching specifically. In the fourth quarter, the Jaguars went into a shell against the Dolphins. And then in week 2, really rough first half for the offense, and the defense wasn't playing great in the first half either. Let's not forget that. Second half, both sides of the ball really kind of amped it up and played decent football, but it wasn't enough to come out with a win. Is that good enough? No. 0-2 is not good enough. Absolutely not. But it's also, in my opinion, not a reason to fire a coaching staff 2 games into the season with the way these 2 games have gone. Now, in order to keep their jobs beyond 2024, changes have to be made. Brian Thomas Jr. needs to get more targets all over the field. Trevor Lawrence needs to be allowed to throw the football more. They need to dial up more cohesive passing concepts. Pass pro has to improve. And if Doug Peterson's saying that's communication, then that's on the coaching to make sure that the communication is up to snuff. Also, how can you get a little bit better pass protection? I think Walker Little should be in the game. Cam Robinson has not played well the first 2 weeks, in my opinion. If Brandon Sheriff doesn't improve, maybe you look at what you got with one of your young guys there. But the Jaguars need to focus on their strengths right now. I don't think that they've been doing that so far. I think they've been way, way over-focused on the running game. I think we're going to talk about it here a little bit later, but I think that you've got to make the vertical passing offense the focus. They are very good. Trevor Lawrence at throwing the football down the field, Brian Thomas Jr. at making plays down the field, Gabe Davis at making plays down the field. There's also some little intricacies that they could introduce into this offense that would help a little bit more. Things that wouldn't be like earth-shattering, completely changing the offense, but introducing a little bit more pre-snap motion, introducing a little bit more RPO, things that they have conceptually within their offense. They just didn't do it a lot the last couple weeks. But they're good at throwing the ball down the field. Trevor Lawrence is good at the RPO game. Motion is going to help you identify what the defense is doing and create leverage and create mismatches. Like, in my opinion, drill these things, practice these things over and over and over, and it's going to help you out, especially the vertical passing offense. Because, look, when they've done it, it's been pretty darn good. Now, just because Trevor Lawrence got sacked in the end zone one time they tried it backed up on their own goal line does not mean that they cannot do that at a higher level, at a more consistent level. Most of the time that he has tried to drop back and find Brian Thomas Jr. down the field or Gabe Davis down the field, it's worked. One sack does not change that. And again, yeah, you've got to get better all around. You do, without question, in my opinion. But that should be a major focus for the Jaguars, is getting Brian Thomas Jr. the football more vertically and all over the field. Did want to shout out today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. That's where I play best ball, daily fantasy, and more. It is super easy to use, right? Making picks on Underdog is straightforward. Signing up is very easy. Just head over to Underdog's simple to use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. You can sign up with the promo code Duval Daily. That's all one word. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Duval to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 21 plus in Maryland and Arizona, Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 plus, Alabama and Nebraska, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783. Or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-878-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the show. Getting back to the topic at hand, again, in order for jobs to be kept, especially head coach, offensive staff, we need to see some major changes. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I think the Jaguars this offseason, from a coaching, from a practice, and from a teaching perspective, were way too focused on trying to overcome the run game deficit that they had last year, which, yeah, you did need to try to improve the run game. You absolutely did. It was really bad last year. And in my opinion, they've been too focused on that the first 2 weeks of the season as well. Like, their neutral pass rate is the bottom of the league, dead last. Like, when the situation's neutral, they're deciding to run the ball more than any team in the league. And to me, that's just not Doug Peterson. That's not why you pay Trevor Lawrence. That's not why you draft Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round. That ain't it. Like, this should not be a run-first team. This should not be the most run-heavy team in neutral situations. It should not be. I think that they've got to refocus on this passing game in a big way and let the chips fall where they may in the run game. Is it broken? Maybe. Maybe this offense is cooked. Maybe Doug Peterson, the league has passed him by a little bit. He's not doing a lot of the things that really good offenses do, which we've talked about here. But in my opinion, you've got to refocus on this vertical passing offense. You've got to refocus on getting Trevor Lawrence in rhythm and feeling good out there and getting the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. I would give this a little bit more time, though, because, making a coaching change after 2 games where they were 2 very close games against playoff teams last year, to me, that's rash. And because I don't think that there's an internal answer if you move on from Doug and Press, either one, right now, I just don't know how that's going to improve your football team right now at 0-2. But Shad Khan should absolutely be preparing for every eventuality and possibility right now. He needs to have his ducks in a row with a potential search. A lot of coaches would want to work with Trevor Lawrence. I guarantee you that much. A lot of coaches would want to work with Trevor Lawrence. And Doug Peterson and Press Taylor, they need to earn the right, in my opinion, to be able to continue to do that beyond 2024. They absolutely do. Over the next several weeks, they need to prove that they can get this offense going back in the right direction. I wouldn't think about making a move until after London. If things go completely south, I wouldn't think about making a move till after London, because Doug Peterson can guide you through this London 2-game trip. I don't think that you want to go into that situation with a brand new coach who hasn't done this before at this level, like one of the assistants, Ryan Nielsen. I don't know who it would be, right? But I think you have Doug Peterson through at least that point, and you don't make a move after that point unless it has really just been abysmal and devolved further from what it's been the first 2 weeks, in my opinion. And again, I'm at a point right now where I really don't know how this is going to play out. I've always believed in Doug Peterson as a coach. I still want to, but you kind of need to see it at this point. I could see this team, this same team that we've seen the first 2 weeks, winning 3 of the next 5. I really could. It would not shock me. 3-4, right? Would not surprise me. Yeah, after London will be 7 games in. Would not surprise me if the Jaguars beat the Bills. They've had the Bills number. They're going to have plenty of time to prepare for that game. So is Buffalo. But I would be shocked if they beat the Texans. Every other game is winnable. And I'm not telling you this just to try to give you optimism. I think fans should feel how they should feel, uninfluenced by me. But I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if the Jaguars beat the Bills, beat the Colts, and do pretty well in London. That would not surprise me at all. It wouldn't. I could also see them sitting at 2-6 or worse. Losing to Buffalo, losing to Houston, being 0-4, going up against the Colts, needing to win that game to, avoid going 0-5. Only time will tell how this Jaguars season is going to play out, right? They're 0-2 right now. They've lost 2 very close football games. There are some very promising aspects of this football team. The defense has improved. And that's going to be really tested by Josh Allen this upcoming week. But they've looked pretty good so far. They gave up 16 points to the Browns, not including the safety, 20 points to the Miami Dolphins. The defense looks good. Brian Thomas Jr. looks good. Trevor Lawrence, rough start to this game against the Cleveland Browns, but he looked really darn good down the stretch as well. So only time will tell how this is going to play out for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I do think that there's a chance Doug Peterson gets this turned around a little bit and they get competitive and have a chance to have a season where they still make the playoffs. I could also see it going the other direction. I really could. I wish I had more of a resolute picture for y'all after the first 2 games. I certainly expected the Jaguars to be a playoff team, but so far, that's not what we've seen. Love to know what y'all think, though. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Jaguars sitting at 0-2. They're going to be 0-4 after the first 4 weeks. Could be. Again, really appreciate you. Hit that like button if you enjoy the content. You can also subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. Become a channel member here on YouTube. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the show. Y'all have a good one.